Welcome everyone to our 2024 Kamala and ABC fake news versus Trump presidential debate discussion. Your first thoughts?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our humble and very accurate podcast. And today we're going to be talking about that debate between the Golden Warrior and the chameleon Harris. And she didn't have her puppy dog with her. That fake tampon Tim AWOLs. The guy went AWOL when it's time to be deployed after 24 years of collecting government money for nothing. And in any case, glad to be here, and we're going to talk about this debate.
Yes, and he's going to be in a vice presidential debate with J.D. Vance on October 1st on CBS Fake News. Mm-hmm. Now, the first thing I wanted us to discuss about is she practiced that handshake when they first got introduced. She practiced that handshake, but right after that, Trump calls out Kamala lying in her first answer. That was the first thing. Now, right after her lying in the first answer, also, she kept mentioning the term Project 2025. Trump has nothing to do with Project 2025 and had stated it many times, but she of course always used that as one of her points.
Trump has never even read Project 2025.
Correct.
It's something that's been attributed to him by the leftist, woke Democrats.
Absolutely. Other thing right after Project 2025 is he mentioned how there were now higher prices for China and other countries under her administration, and that also under her and Joe's administration they had very high inflation. Yeah, inflation. Now, after all that stuff is considered, we're going to get into their really big topics at some point, I think somewhere in the beginning, with abortion. This is what was stated according to us both watching it on Newsmax. Abortion in the 9th month. He was saying how they thought that abortion in the 9th month was absolutely fine and okay, which it's not, and that there were six Supreme Court justices that sent everything back to the individual states. Their side never doesn't seem to get that it was finally decided in a way that makes sense, that it's for each individual state to decide that kind of issue of abortion.
Sure, and this way the people speak. That's what a democracy is supposed to consist of.
Absolutely.
The people, the majority of the people speaking. So in one state, the majority of the women are gonna vote yes for abortion, and in another state next door they might vote no for an abortion. But whatever the women want, they should be able to have that freedom.
But of course she wants to spin it in a way that women won't like if Trump was to run things in regards to all that. Yeah. So the next thing after the abortion is he mentioned that the Harris-Biden administration did not fire anyone after the Afghanistan exit.
Right, and there seems to be no one fired from the from the Biden administration. Nobody. The Biden-Harris. No one has been fired for anything. In fact, there's been more foreign aid given out underneath the Biden-Harris administration. It's a damn shame. Any country that gives foreign aid is taxing their citizens too much. There should not be a foreign aid. It should be completely eliminated, and we could give a foreign loan if we have a country that's friendly with us, no Chinas or Russias or anything, but if we have a country that's friendly with us and it's for a good cause, we can give them a loan. They have to abide by the terms of the loan, or they never get another loan. But this foreign aid is ridiculous.
I agree completely. Next thing they mentioned after the Afghanistan thing, he mentioned in one part after that how they weaponized, definitely for sure, weaponized the Justice Department against him, which they're still trying to do. It's unbelievable that in this day and age, the Justice Department is weaponized against him, and also oftentimes against regular Americans. It's not for us. Their administration is not for us, and so it's weaponized. Next thing is Harris deflects when questioned about policy flip-flops. She's known for many policy flip-flops of just changing in the moment, just like Joe did. So that was part of it.
Well, the flip-flops it's plain as day.
Right.
She'll say anything to get elected. She knows that she has no chance in Pennsylvania, which is a very important state, if she's against fracking.
That actually leads to my next point.
Now that she's up for president, she's up for the big golden ring. Now she's going to really watch herself, and she's going to pretend like she's for fracking and all these other things. But as soon as she's elected, if she were to be elected, she is going to frack, and she's going to stop drilling, and everything detrimental to the United States. We will then become the divided states of America, because everybody's going to be scraping and scrounging for to try to live a sustainable life.
Absolutely, and it's right that you mentioned fracking and part of that for the policy flip-flops, because I have on my notes here, right after the policy flip-flops, that she has been against fracking for 12 years. That's what Trump said, that she had been against for the whole fracking for 12 years, but then she tries to get away from that whole fracking 12-year thing. Next thing, we're talking about how they got into, in the middle part of the debate, they talked about January 6, 2021. Trump stated that it was done peacefully and patriotically, but then it was known right after he said that it was not, that really the problem with that whole day was Miss Nancy Pelosi.
She refused the National Guard.
That's it. Yeah, that's the word, National Guard.
She refused the National Guard. It's all on Nancy Pelosi. Instead of getting a boob job, she should be spending a little more time in the library or on the news studying world affairs, what's happening in the world around us, because no foreign aid when we have a problem here in the United States, a domestic problem. That's what the National Guard is for.
Absolutely.
In fact, I think that Tampon Tim AWOLs, I think he was in the National Guard.
Right. National Guard had to do with Nancy Pelosi, so that all connects. Great, great, nice. Next thing that was mentioned after the Nancy Pelosi January 6th stuff was Harris rehashes the Charlottesville hoax. That was back in the late 2010s. Everybody knows everything that was with the Charlottesville hoax, so we're going to move on after that event happening. Next thing is Kamala, right after that it was mentioned, Kamala got 0 votes. It was a fixed primary. They let Biden through a fixed primary, so he wasn't challenged by anybody. And then in the summertime, they just transferred all the delegates from Biden to Kamala, and she didn't get a single vote from any regular voters.
That's because she can't competitively run against anyone.
Right.
Because she's so ridiculous, and she would never get voted, not even by the most hardcore Democrats, because she's cackling. She has no priorities. That the border czar, Kamala Harris, has done nothing. She couldn't even handle that one mission. She couldn't even do a decent job with one task. Could you imagine her as the president of the United States?
Absolutely. The next thing they mentioned is deep in my heart and mind, is where they talked about October 7th, 2023, where Biden and Harris administration didn't help in any way to help out Israel, the hostages, and the Hamas terrorism. And this again was, and this is, everybody knows this to be true. Under Trump, that whole Israel Hamas hostage stuff on October 7th never ever would have happened.
I'm sure the Jewish people in the United States are well aware of that shortfall, and I'm here to say, as a meek and mild Gentile, that any Jewish person in the United States that votes against President Trump hates America.
No doubt.
They hate America. Absolutely. And they hate their own people.
Absolutely. And that hating comment leads me into the next thing I want to say about all that, which is Harris hates Israel. And another way to show this is that recently when she met up with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, she wouldn't even meet with Benjamin Netanyahu. She wouldn't meet with him. I don't know if Biden did or not, but she wouldn't meet with Bibi Netanyahu, and neither did Barack Hussein Obama. And the last thing I want to state about Israel before we move to Ukraine is, at one point during all that part, Trump said, and I hope he's wrong about this, but he gets a lot of predictions right. He said, I predict Israel will not exist in 2 years if if Harris wins?
If Harris wins, President Trump will be correct once
Oh
again.
my, yeah, unfortunately.
So we got to vote the Golden Warrior, the Bronze Adonis, back in as our commander in chief and as our president, because he loves America. He's not doing it for any political reason. He already has a good family, a great family. He's a success in his whole life. All he wants now is to help the country that helped him all along. And obviously he'd like to have a legacy. He'd like to leave a legacy.
And
he's 70-some years of age. He knows that he's getting towards the end of his lifetime, and he wants to be remembered as someone who really made a difference here.
absolutely, no doubt for all that. Well stated. And the last thing about that I want to say is about when you're saying with them getting back in, and or whether it's him, that this has to be in November. It has to be too big to rig. No doubt November has to be too big to rig, because you know they're going to try to cheat throughout that entire day into the next morning, as they shown 4 years ago. So it has to be too big to rig. Next part, we get into them talking about Ukraine, in reference to Ukraine topic, all of them. And by the way, what did you, before we get into the rest of these topics of that, what did you make of the moderators for ABC last night instead of CNN?
The moderators were amazingly fair. I was expecting them to be a lot harder on President Trump, but they were moderately fair with him. They weren't. They didn't show any vitriol against President Trump.
Well,
and it was a pleasant surprise for me.
I actually have a slightly different opinion. I thought the moderators on CNN in end of June were pretty well, like you said. But for this time, I thought that both that male and female moderators at ABC were directly attacking him, asking him more follow-ups, and didn't make Kamala do the same thing in regards to all the questions. So I thought that the ABC moderators last night did a terrible, very bad job. At least, so maybe we kind of saw things differently.
I agree with you. I agree with you. They showed favoritism against President Trump,
And for
as expected, but not as much as I thought they would. And also, what do you call it? Oh, continue on.
That's fine. We'll get back to it. Trump, Ukraine. When they all talked about Ukraine, it was said his answer was, "I want the war to stop." They were trying to tease him with how he could respond to that. But like he said in previous things about that topic, he said in reference to Ukraine, I want the war to stop," and they wanted a different kind of answer. Now Ukraine is a big mess, but we'll move on from Ukraine. The next thing he stated,
we're not going to give Ukraine any under the President Trump reign. We're not going to give the Ukraine any more money. We gave them too much already. Again, foreign loans, not foreign aid. This should be the end of the foreign aid era. We've given foreign aid to many countries around the world who don't give one damn about us. Never helped us one bit. We're not the keepers of the world.
Right.
We're the United States of America. You're not the United States of the entire earth.
and I think you were right, absolutely. And you said earlier it could have become soon, unfortunately soon, the United States of division and not united. We don't want the
it'll
division.
be the divided states.
Right.
Under Harris.
And similar to the money part that you said about Ukraine, that leads me into my next point, right after Ukraine, where he had said Trump got 28 countries to pay up in regards to NATO. NATO. All these other presidents didn't deal with NATO right, but Trump, once we got him, it said he had stated to them in that thing after Ukraine that he got 28 countries to pay up money-wise in regards to NATO.
Or else we wouldn't protect them.
Right.
And not only that, China, our main enemy, the country that's the most dangerous to us, never paid a penny. They've done business here in the United States. They've stole our secrets. They've done everything. They're sending their young people to our colleges. That's all going to stop. In fact, President Trump tariffed them millions and millions and millions of dollars on their incoming products to the United States, and that's why China is not so happy with us. That's one of the reasons.
Absolutely. Before I get into the next parts, I just want to say that I thought that Kamala was much more well prepared than Biden from a few months ago in regards to these debates, but that also she was very attack dog. She's very much an attack way, but I think Trump handled it pretty well. That she lied a lot, and that people have shown online that there's a possible earring she had on her ear, but that they've done since Hillary Clinton 2016 onwards, where there's a great possibility the way they cheat, she probably had an earpiece hearing everything. During this whole thing, which is really not right. But moving on from how she was, the next thing they stated after the country NATO stuff is she called Trump racist. And here's the thing: anybody that really got to know Trump, or even does a bit of research, would know that Trump is not racist, but really Kamala and Biden are. So Trump, if you find out, Trump is well with Hispanics, with blacks, with all kinds of ethnicities, and he is not racist in any way, shape, or form. And the way that Kamala is what she just is. And Biden, well, the way Biden is there was a 1994 crime bill both of them, actually, Biden and Kamala both did bad things for black people. Mm-hmm. And Trump is not racist and doesn't hate any other race. So that was not correct either.
Everybody gets a fair shake with Trump. He's demonstrated that over his first 4 years as our president. Everyone gets a fair shake with him. He's not biased or prejudiced towards any one group of people. He wants everyone to do well, and he's often said, and he means it from the bottom of his heart, success is that's the true factor of united. That unites people. Success. Common success unites everybody. That's what will bring back the United States of America in strength. And in fact, look at Trump's family. They're not taking crack. They're not leaving cocaine in the White House. Look at Trump's wife. She's not a doctor. Bullshitting people that she's a doctor. Dr. Jill shit-canned her old husband, who was the only guy who ever supported Biden. She shit-canned him because she wanted the glory of being the first lady. It's horrible.
Right.
Biden, his daughter, he showered with his daughter.
There you go.
God knows what he was doing when he was showering with his daughter. Right. God knows what he did with his son. His daughter and son are both alcoholics, dope fiends, and sex fiends. And Biden's dog, he couldn't even train, what the hell was his called? Commander. Commander bit all the Secret Service in the White House. They had to shit-can the dog. Biden, you can go by a record. A track record tells you all there is to know about a person. Look at the Chameleon Harris's record. You'll see nothing but failure.
Right.
Look at Biden. Look at Biden's record, not only in politics but in life. He's a shitbird. He ruined his own family. He's done nothing for the United States.
Okay. Before we get to their closing statements, I just want to say the last 2 points, which is where they talked about Obamacare. Obamacare was very lousy health care. That's pretty much says that all with that. And the thing right after that, what they talked about was that Biden and Harris lost a lot of manufacturing jobs. Lots of manufacturing jobs were lost. So after those Obamacare and manufacturing jobs points are over, we're going to go over quick about what did you think of their closing statements? I'll go first. I thought Kamala came off very fake and lied a lot. What do you think of her closing statement?
The Chameleon Harris was very shallow, very fake. She, the Dems, the woke people, they like to say gaslighting and use all these stupid words for lying. But the word lie and the word Chameleon Harris, they're synonymous. Right. They're one and the same. They're joined at the hip. Trump gives you the problem, exactly what he's going to do to solve the problem, and when it's going to be solved by, and he keeps you updated all the way along the way.
Right.
So there's really no comparison here in leadership.
For sure.
None.
For sure. Then in Trump's closing remarks, he said something in his first line that he should have started the whole debate in the beginning with in the first place, which was, why hasn't she done it already in 3.5 years? That's the first thing.
Mhm.
Which he should have.
Right.
Like I watched Ben Shapiro. I watched Ben Shapiro before I did this, so he stated, yeah, that whole thing he said there should have been stated in the very beginning of the debate. That's kind of a missed opportunity. The other thing is they called what we have now a failing nation, and it'll be even more failing and very deadly if they get in if Kamala gets in November. And then last two things he said was that we're being laughed at all over the world, which is very true, and that he rebuilt the military. But what did you make of Trump's closing remarks?
President Trump stuck to the issues. He did not insult the Kamala Harris not one bit during that whole conference, which was good. All he had to do is what he did. He stuck to the issues. He's 100% on every issue, and the Kamala Harris is 0% on any issue you would like to bring up. She's bad for the military. She's bad for internal security within the United States, different cities, and whatever. Just our own turbulence here. She hates this country. She hates America.
I have two follow-up questions to start to wrap this stuff up. And my question for you now is, I think it's been stated that the Harris campaign would like to have a second debate. The first question is, do you think they should have a second debate? And the follow-up is, if yes, I think that Trump should have it on his terms is fine this time, because these first two times it was under their Democratic terms of who does it and how. And I think it should one be done under his terms this time, and for this third debate or second, if it's for them to go back again, that I think it really should be a live audience. But what do you think? Should there be a second debate between him and Kamala, and in what way should it be done this time?
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I think there should be 10 more debates. I think there should be 10 more live audiences, and then let's see. The chameleon is a pretty good memorizer. She prepared well for this debate, but that doesn't come from the heart, and that's just preparation. It has nothing to do with what actions she's actually going to take.
Right.
President Trump doesn't have to rely on any of these practices, because what he's saying is coming right from the heart, and he intends to secure that border, to bring back the pipelines, our pipeline, the Keystone pipeline, so we can drill, baby, drill, and frack, baby, frack,
right,
and bring this country out of debt, whatever foreign debt we have, and we could just have a
right, absolutely.
a truly United States once again.
Everything you said there is entirely very accurate. And the other thing I want to say about that, in regards to her memorization of that whole conference debate last night, is that it felt very scripted. But again, fake. She came off very fake, very fake. No policies, and it's scripted in a way. And again, I believe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that earring could have well been an earpiece. Well, we covered a lot, so we're going to pretend that this is a Spotify. We're going to pretend that this is a Spotify audio-only podcast, because as far as video-wise, this is our first video to go 23 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I hope whoever lasted this long got something out of it, of how both Kamala and Trump were, and we hope that there's a second debate, but that's yet to be known. And yeah, pretty much. That pretty much.
Two things I'd like to leave you with.
Sure.
If Kamala Harris had any worth to her, she would have done these things. She would have secured the border. She would have took care of the crime in the United States. She would have took care of the economy. She would have done these things in the 3.5 years she already had. She's done nothing. Nothing. She is a liar. She's lazy, and she's dangerous.
And after all that, did you also have a second point after those parts, or?
Were you better? Were you better off 4 years ago, when President Trump was the president, or are we better off now through all this melee?
I want to thank Sailor Dennis for coming on, and we hope that there's at least, as many as possible between now and November. We got about 7 weeks to go to save this country. If she wins, this country will completely fall apart, and it's not going to look nice at all. No.
We might never come
recover.
back.
Absolutely. That's how serious it is. But that's all for now, guys. This is everybody dance and have a good time. This is friend and co-host Sailor Dennis and Millennial Man Motions Entertainment LLC signing out till maybe not till November, because we don't know if there's going to be any more debates.
Y muchas gracias por vernos. Que le vaya bien.
Sí.